I'm Petie. Welcome to the room. That art is something that is not an option. It's something that has to happen, and that's what ends up on the wall as a result of that need. So let me step back a few steps and say where we are and how we are. This is the Gay Community Center of Richmond. I was asked to open a gallery here less than a year ago. We started our discussions last spring, and by the beginning of July, we had a gallery open. And it has been a process by which we're introducing ourselves as a community to the larger community of Richmond. And it's an opportunity for everyone, GLBT, LGBT, QI, whatever, and the rest of the world to interact and enjoy something together. We do not ask our artists whether they are any of those letters. It's not our business. What we ask is if you are a wonderful artist and will fit in our program, that you consider showing here. And so far we've had some wonderful artists show here. In this case, I really saw this amazing connection between the work of Susan Singer and John Bailey, who are at very different places in their lives and careers, and yet their work meshes, and it's so different and yet comes together so well that they also saw that when I contacted each of them individually and said, would you like to do a show with the other artists? They each were so enthusiastic. Yes, they each 10 years ago had an opportunity to show together, and had always hoped that another opportunity would come. And here we are. So once that happens, then we talk about what kind of art can we present. Let's look at your body of work. What are you currently working on? What have you worked on before? And how is it all going to come together? Now, in that process, we realized that this exhibition, by necessity, would include nudity. And that, of course, resulted in some discussion within the organization as to where we would draw the lines. And ultimately, the decision was made that the art would speak for itself in drawing those lines for us. That we did not want to set limits except by what looked good on the wall. Now, when I install an exhibition, something occurs that I start with a system. I start with saying, first, what size of work belongs on this wall? What type of framing belongs on this wall? Once you start bringing work into a grouping, you have to say, does it all fit together? And something up to a certain point, there's an intellectual and an emotional process that occurs. After that, it becomes completely technical. And then I stop seeing the work for its content. I start seeing it for its technical relationship on the wall. It's like laying out a page as a graphic designer. I approach the wall as if it were a page in a magazine or a page on the web. So let me jump back now to talk a little bit about John, and then I'm going to turn it over to Susan for her to tell you about her process of how the art comes to be. In working with John, I've known his work for many years, and I know that he does, if you've seen the whole show, there are a lot of really soft, sensitive pastel works. And they are so subtle in nature, and like the large one at the end of the hall, where you really have to stop and let it come together because it is so subtle. It looks like a white panel with just nothing there, and yet it's a nude painting of a male figure. there were works that were too subtle to show next to Susan's. And these works were selected to show in the same room with Susan because the strength of their form and color. Now, in looking at John's work, you can see that he has a very light touch. Even when he's working boldly, his touch is so sensitive. He's just basically stroking the page. And you can tell that this is taking a long time to do. This is not a big animated process where he's just moving and splashing and scratching. He is relating to the paper and relating to his subject, which is contradictory because John has had a life as a dancer. The most important thing that he wanted me to say on his behalf is that the art itself, for him, is what he has to do to live his life. It is living in the moment, capturing what's happening to him at the moment of creation. And the art itself, what we hang on the wall, the resulting piece is just an artifact. The art itself, the art is the process, the moment of creation. But the artifact is what we have left behind to remember that moment of creation by. And that's how he experiences life so fully, through being in the moment, moving through time and space. And the marks he makes on the page are a record of that. And so what he paints, whether it's an abstraction, a non-objective piece, whether it includes objective and non-objective elements, or whether it is a full frontal nudity where he is capturing something that he's passionate about, the truth is he's passionate about all of it. With that, let me give you Susan, who can tell us about it.
Thank you. First thing I want to do is to talk about the experience of being asked to do this show. Petie called me and asked me if I'd do it. This was in the beginning of December, like the 10th or 12th. So we had Christmas coming up, and I said yes, and then I said, now, where is it, and when is it, and what do you need? Because I knew that the pleasure of working with Petie would be so complete.